It's the Pac-12 Networks Basketball Podcast with Mike Yam and Kevin O'Neill.
Yes, it is another edition of the Pac-12 Networks Basketball Podcast. You are slowly, by the way, becoming more and more of a TV guy, and I just want to applaud you for that. That is, It is Kevin O'Neill and Mike Yam with you. This is the second time now we have decided to bring the podcast to video. So we got the cameras in studio. It was great. We had Matt Muehlbach 2 weeks ago in our studios with us. Matt's going to be joining us a little bit later on the show as we continue the recruitment of Matt Muehlbach during our recruit segment that is coming up here. But because it's video, you're kind of like catching on a little savvy to
Yeah, cueing, all that cueing stuff, layout, all those big TV words.
It's it took Neuheisel 3 seasons to
I was on a show the other day. The guy said in my ear, he goes, "KO, just vamp." I was like, "Vamp?"
Yeah, just vamp.
What is the world is vamp?
I
didn't know what it was.
You just go. That's what we do.
Yeah,
that's especially what we do here on the podcast. I do want to get to some basketball-related items. 2 quick things for you, though, before we get there. One, I absolutely have to make reference to this because we always talk about how, it's not just you and I that are working on the podcast. There is legitimately a team. Candace, Scoots, Mackenzie is with us, and I would be absolutely remiss if I did not mention the fact, I don't know if you're aware, Mackenzie's birthday is coming up this weekend.
Is that right?
She's going to turn 27 years old. 27.
What's the date?
The 15th, correct? It is the 15th? The 15th. So,
wow.
Day after Valentine's Day.
Wow.
I would try to blow up her spot and ask her if she's got I'm getting like the don't ask me that question. So we'll leave it alone. But Mackenzie, happy birthday to you, and we do appreciate everything that you do on the show. Now, I do have a bone to pick with Mackenzie as well, which is perfect because we are on video, so I can actually do this. Normally, if you're listening to us on iTunes, I would encourage you, pac-12.com. You can check out the video here. Look, I mean, you're in, and I tease you all the time. We're coming to do the show. You wear dress shirt, tie, suit jacket, shorts, socks, and sneakers. That's your attire. I usually wear jeans unless we're going to be full camera. Today I'm wearing my suit pants because we had a big meeting, so I wanted to dress appropriately for the meeting.
Right, I got you.
Do I look okay to you?
What?
Cough button.
That was good, huh?
Do I look okay?
You look great.
Okay, can I, in all seriousness, you would tell me if I didn't, right?
Absolutely, I would.
Mackenzie says to me.
I wouldn't buy that shirt, but it looks all right on you.
Okay, that's fine. Mackenzie says to me after our staff meeting today, because they gave us lunch. Oh, no, it wasn't actually you, Mackenzie, who said, you were actually, I'm thinking of someone else. So, all right, we'll sidetrack this for a second. It's not Mackenzie that I have a bone to pick. By the way, I didn't know what the date was, so I haven't been sleeping too great. So I clearly am messing up the person, but this actually did happen. I was told that, like, the V, that it's too deep, that I should go another button up. Is that?
No, you're good.
Right?
You're good.
I used to.
No, you're good. You're good.
I used to button it, and you know what happened? Years ago, after college, there was a girl that I had a pretty significant crush on.
Right.
I'll never forget her for the rest of my life.
Because she was the only one
that's ever
had a crush on you. Yes.
Truer words have never been spoken. Sad but true. But she said to me, Mike, you gotta. It's too high up. So I've always gone with.
You're good.
It does. Okay. I just wanted to double check and make sure.
If you were going to happy hour, one more button down.
To try to lure in one other girl to ever be a fan of mine. All right, so the house cleaning is done, but it is time to get to some basketball-related issues.
Okay.
It's time to get real on Candid with KO.
Yes, it is time for that honest assessment from Kevin O'Neill. It's funny because, Kay, I think most people know your work for us here on the Pac-12 Networks in studio. Where you're dead honest. I mean, you say some stuff. How did I know that you were not in studio and actually working a game for us? All I had to do was
I don't know.
I just went onto Twitter, and for some reason, people think that I am either you or I can talk to you. And
they know I don't have Twitter.
You're not on Twitter, so I am getting all of the complaints about you. They're coming to me. I don't know when I became Kevin O'Neill's main guy for social media, but then I realized that you were calling the Oregon State UCLA matchup, and that was
last night.
Yeah, so that was a little. I guess you made some comments about the lack of talent on this Beaver squad. Now, sure enough, UCLA went on to win. can you just put into perspective here what?
Well, I'm not trying to be disparaging to any of the players, but the question remains: why can't they even be in games on the road? Wayne Tinkle and his staff have done an unbelievable job of changing the culture, making defense something they're committed to. Yeah. They've been really good at home. They've won close games. They grind them out. So all that's in place. You need talent to win on the road. And I actually had this conversation with Wayne. I said, Wayne, this is an easy year compared to what you're going to have to go through next year. Because he's going to be bringing in 5 to 7 guys new. And now all the players that are there are not going to play the same number of minutes or have the same impact that they've had, and they're going to be upset.
Yeah.
So they have a real balancing act next year when they bring in a more talented group.
Wayne's son's apparently pretty good.
Oh, he's very good. And, as I told Wayne, I said, I hope he's a starter. Because Al McGuire told me one time, because he coached his son, he decided he either had to be a starter or the last man on the team. And he knew his mother would throw him out of the house, so he started him. And 2 different players came to Al and said, Al, he shouldn't be starting. He goes, I love him, I don't love you. I mean,
and I love my wife, and I love sleeping in bed.
That's right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they can't manufacture points, especially on the road.
No.
And I don't care what offense you're running, you need some skill level. They don't have a post-up game. And, again, I think their players are playing their hearts out. They're doing a great job, but it's hard to win games in a major league on the road without talent.
You know what was surprising to me about, and we've seen this from Oregon State this season, where you'll look at their starting 5, and sometimes they got one guy in double figures.
Right.
And last night that wasn't necessarily the case. GP2 had 24 points. They were pretty efficient from the floor. Langston Morris-Walker also had a pretty good matchup as well. The fact that they had 2 guys that went for 24 and 19 points, that's an offensive explosion in a lot of ways.
And still lost by 15.
Yeah, got killed on the glass.
Yep.
What does that say about the UCLA defense? They let 2 guys go off like that.
I'm liking UCLA a little bit better. They're starting. I thought Steve Alford's staff last night did an unbelievable job of attacking Oregon State's zone defense. Like nobody's done it all year. They got the right middle hits. They ran the right stuff to get shooters shots on the baseline, and they knocked down shots. I mean, they made a bunch of threes, but I thought
10 of them, 10 of 18.
I mean, that helps you look good.
Yeah.
But I thought Steve and his staff did a wonderful job of attacking that zone.
We've talked about this the last few weeks. I actually did a radio interview earlier today, and someone had asked me this question. It's something we discuss consistently on air about the amount of teams that will make the tournament.
Right.
For most of the season, I think we were all in agreement there was going to be 3 teams,
right.
Arizona, Utah, and Stanford. Stanford maybe taking a little bit of a dip because of some of these losses recently. They've lost 2 out of their last 3.
And they're on the road this weekend.
They are on the road this weekend. A matchup, obviously, against Utah. And by the time this podcast is out, that game will probably be already in the books. But that's a game.
The game is already in the books. Utah is going to win that game.
The very definitive answer from Kevin O'Neill. Yeah. But the point is, Stanford, well, look, let's just assume that you are correct in your assessment. They lose this basketball game. We're still now all of a sudden talking about an Oregon team that's got some wins, a UCLA team that's starting to win.
I think those 2 are in the picture now. And if I was looking at it today on the plane coming up here, if you look nationally, some other leagues are having some teams fall off a little bit. I now think, depending on their finish, UCLA and Oregon, and they have a huge game with each other tomorrow. Whoever wins that, I think, can be the 4th team in the league to get in.
Yeah.
I think if they can finish strong and avoid a bad loss or a bad loss at home and win some games in the tournament, I think both those teams have a chance to get in.
Are we still looking at 3 teams, or you think that expands to 4 or 5? You got 5 right now.
I got 5 right
now. Stanford at this point.
I like Stanford, yeah. I might not like them after the weekend because I think they're going to lose both. I'm actually doing the Stanford-Colorado game on Sunday.
Good. So I'll be prepared to get some tweets coming my way.
Yeah.
For some reason, that'll continue to
happen.
Send
them on to my Twitter account, please.
Keep looking for Kevin O'Neill. Stanford and Oregon, though, or Oregon specifically, because right now, the way it's situated as we're recording this podcast, they would be the team actually, no, Stanford would actually hold on to that 4th spot.
Right.
Oregon would sit at 3. Oregon State, UCLA also in that mix, 2 games back.
Oregon State can't make the NCAA tournament.
No, you can't win on the road.
And I'll tell you what Oregon State can't do. They can't lose at USC and think they're going to have a great chance in the NIT either. They need a road win at USC this weekend.
Is there something that you would point to for Oregon and UCLA that has them now winning basketball games?
You know, I think you got two veteran coaches that have done a really good job of weathering the storm and getting their teams better. Both of them have gone through a little bit of a stretch where they've struggled. You know, UCLA had those 5 losses and got demolished by Kentucky. But Steve's done a really good job of coaching his team through the stormy part, and now they're playing better basketball. They're getting older. Both teams are getting older.
Can I throw you under the bus?
Sure. Please do.
So working with Lamar the other night.
Yep.
Lamar's on set with Matt, actually, and Matt Muehlbach's going to be joining us in just a couple minutes here as we kick up the recruitment of Matty to head to Arizona. We both laughed because all of a sudden Cal is winning some basketball games.
Conzo's done a great – I thought they were done. I said it on air. They're going to finish last.
You know how many people – I got tweets about that.
They lost at USC by 15.
Yeah.
And got crushed at UCLA and looked listless doing it.
How is he doing it now? Because some people might say, hey, it's a little bit smoke and mirrors. They've needed some late threes.
That's all right. I mean –
win's a win.
What they've done is they've regrouped when I didn't think they could. I thought they were – I thought it was a toilet bowl. I went down. I thought it was over.
Glad you got the spin going, too.
Yeah.
The cycle. But Cal right now, they're making a little bit of a push, still in the middle of the Pac-12 standings. The weeks will continue to unfold, and we will continue to discuss these teams that could potentially be dancing in the NCAA tournament and that all-important 4th seed in Las Vegas for the Pac-12 tournament. Remember, top 4 seeds.
That's really
get
important.
The bye. Absolutely crucial to try to make some noise and bolster that resume. And I think a couple of those teams that sit 3, 4, and 5 right now in the Pac-12 certainly could use a little bit of help and that first-round bye and try to avoid maybe a dangerous team at the bottom of the half. Because Colorado, they're going to be a team that if you don't get that bye, you might have to see them. And maybe Josh Scott continues to get more and more healthy.
Scott gets healthy.
Skia Booker gets hot in a game. Yeah. They're still one of those teams that I don't think I would want to play all that at this point.
I'll say this, and I've watched a lot of different leagues around the country. The Pac-12 coaches, for the most part, have their teams improving, which says a lot about the depth of the coaches we have in this conference, that these teams, UCLA, Oregon, Cal, Colorado, they're getting better, and that doesn't always happen.
KO, you ready?
Yep.
Story time.
Stories, tales, and wisdom from KO, all on In the Paint.
It is that time of the show where KO unveils one of his legendary stories. KO, Mackenzie and Candace had asked for with Valentine's Day right around the corner. Thought, you being the romantic guy that you are.
That's not a really big holiday for me. It's not.
Do you, at home?
I get my wife 24 roses every year. I do all that stuff.
You strike me as a very romantic guy.
I'm totally romantic.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's got to be, by the way, when you were told, hey, maybe if you got a Valentine's Day, your face, like, it was like being on set with you when Lamar said that Joe Young was going to be.
I don't really have a Valentine's Day story. I just know, like, when you're coaching and these college guys get wrapped up with chicks where they're, like, totally in love and they're coming to practice with hickeys on their neck and all this. I don't think guys play very well in those situations.
Yeah.
And I was in the NBA where guys had wives, several girlfriends. I mean, those guys, they can handle it. They're pros.
Yeah.
College guys, when they get smitten,
they fall hard.
Well, especially if it's a freshman and it's a senior girl or, somebody Mackenzie's age or whatever.
27.
27, yeah.
It doesn't change at 33. I can assure you that. So.
I think it's hard for guys to stay focused on the game. So Valentine's Day as a coach didn't really mean much.
All right. Did you ever have a guy, though, that was going through this massive breakup female situation and then just could not, as Curtis Conway would say, get his mind right for these games?
Yeah. I can think of 2 or 3 instances where players got overwhelmed by their first love and all that kind of stuff and didn't do a very good job of playing.
Can I just say this? I feel like you got to be just not that sympathetic to guys in that situation. I don't know why that is.
First of all, the thing I would tell him, Guess what?
There's another one.
There's a million fish out there in the ocean. Forget it. And you're going to get thrown back a lot. That's all there is to it.
You're going to get rejected like Dikembe, by the way. Just wagging the finger, not.
But I mean, come on. But you know, when you have your first love and all that stuff, you know, some guys that's hard for them to deal with.
Can you call out what? And you said NBA guys are
they're pros.
They can handle
They're
it.
pros. Come on, they're like guys that are over working at IBM. Or
what about the guys though that are pros that are not married? Like, I'm not trying to be funny here, but I mean, this is not breaking news. I'm not saying anything that's
they're having the time of their life.
They're single. They're in a new city. They're
rich. They're attractive. You know.
They're rich.
Yeah. True.
I'm just saying. We probably shouldn't call anyone out.
No. We're not doing any names. No.
Did you see? I tried to.
I could tell a couple absolutely bombastic stories, but that wouldn't profit anyone.
And you can't tell the stories without naming the name.
No, you can't. No.
Okay.
No.
Do you know how I'm going to get in trouble now? I can guarantee. People are going to be tweeting saying you did not do your job and get KO to tell some of those stories, omitting the names. What's the harm, by the way?
I'm going to tell you right now.
Of telling a story?
If I was in a prisoner of war camp, I wouldn't tell these stories. You can't do it. It's the code. You can't.
You know what I forgot to mention at the top of the show? This is completely unrelated.
What?
Completely unrelated. And I know Matt Muehlbach's going to join us on the line here in just a couple seconds here. You got me on Empire.
Yeah. You watch it?
It's pretty good, man.
Oh, no, it's really good.
It's really good.
It's really good.
It's really, you know what you need to get? Did I tell you? Breaking Bad, you said you did watch that, right?
Oh, every bit of it.
Better Call Saul, have you started that?
I haven't. I got to do that. Is it good?
2 episodes in, they've only shown that it's pretty, it's not, you can tell it's got the same vibe and the same feel, and it's already a little bit more intense through the first 2 episodes than the first 2 episodes of Breaking Bad.
Well, I thought he was the best character in Breaking Bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Better than Walt?
Yeah, Walt. Hey, Walt was a criminal.
Yeah, but he was like a
Saul
criminal that you rooted for the most part of that series.
I rooted for Saul.
Why would you? What, really?
I thought he was the greatest manipulator on the whole show.
You'll see how good of a manipulator he is through these first 2
Now, they
episodes.
got the dude in there that was enforcer for
Mike, right? I think his name was Mike.
He was my second favorite guy.
Dude, you
got
good taste in shows. I don't know about your taste in you weren't a Jesse guy?
I'll tell you how much I like Empire. I got back from UCLA last night at 12:30 in the morning, and I watched Empire, and I knew I had a 7 o'clock flight.
Well, actually, you had.
Yeah, actually, I missed the 7 o'clock flight. It ended up on a 9:30.
It was you made it here in time to do.
I thought it was 8 o'clock.
That's the important thing. But Empire. So I thank you for getting me.
Oh, it's great
on that show. That was very good. But it is now time in that time of the podcast. Yes, spit it out. The alliteration sometimes is a little bit of an issue for me. That is sweeping the nation as we get ready to hear about Matt Muehlbach's story.
The segment you've been waiting for, The Recruit.
Kevin O'Neill, Matt Muehlbach is on the line with us right now. So, Matt, KO just made reference to some problems that happen when you're on campus. So what exactly were those issues?
I actually had to start playing basketball. That was the problem.
on a top 5 team.
We had a pretty good team, didn't we, KO?
Oh, think of how many pros we had, and then we had the fastest man in baseball, Kenny Lofton, as a backup.
So Yammer, I go into practice October 15th, and Lute Olson's our coach, and you know Lute, and he's got the silver hair and good looking, and he's pretty intimidating actually when you're around him. He's a big guy, but going into those practices in college, man, there's so much anxiety. Everybody tells you you are not going to believe how hard it is, and we had a thing called the Deep Six, and everyone said, if you don't make that Deep Six, I'm going to kill you because, and anybody that's ever played any sport, it's like the movie Miracle, when they're running the line or they're skating those lines.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't make the lines, you're going to kill the team. You'll have to run more of them. And I remember everybody telling me, you better be ready for practice. It's going to kill you. And like KO said, we had a team. Steve Kerr was a fifth-year senior, played in the NBA 14 years. Craig McMillan was 6'6", 215 pounds. These are guys I'm guarding. two-man who was a McDonald's All-American, fourth-year senior. Sean Elliott was the best player in the country. Kenny Lofton was the greatest athlete in the world. Judd Bushler was could have been a Hall of Fame volleyball player. And these are the guys I was guarding.
Not very well, I might add.
What's that?
Not very well, I might add.
So practice with Luke was the first 40 minutes was all fundamentals, but they were incredibly tough, like slides. And we would do that deal, KO, where, he'd be out in front, we would have to slide, and we would then take charges and, dive on our chest and do all these different things. And you did that for 40 minutes. And after that, you had to run this thing called a deep six. And what it was you started baseline, and you went baseline free throw, back, baseline half court back, baseline to the other free throw line back, and then baseline to the other baseline back. You had to do it 32 seconds. And if you did that at the start of practice, it wasn't that hard. But if you did that after 40 minutes of grueling fundamental stuff, it was really hard. And it was one of those deals, KO, right? If one guy didn't make it, everyone else had to run.
Yeah, and it obviously gets harder as you do it.
And if you missed the first one, what was the chance of the second one? It was like a 7.
It was a good chance practice was ruined if you missed the first one.
I'm sure Lofton had a lot of problems.
Lofton. He was finishing a half court ahead of everybody, except Brian Williams, who was redshirting at the time.
So we would finish that, and that's kind of when practice started. And that's when you would start playing, games at, offense to defense and 5-on-5. And Yammer, I can't tell you, like, myself, Mark Georgeson, who was the other freshman 7-footer, Sean Rooks, who was 6'11", played in the NBA for 14 years. And they called those two guys, by the way, the USS Rooks Georgeson. Who came up with that, KO?
I don't know. Some marketing guy.
Well,
guys that sit around those little cubicles try to think up things to do.
The USS Rooks Georgeson was about to sink after a month. And the little minnow boat Muehlbach was sinking already.
The USS Rooks sank during the preseason conditioning when he tried to run the mile for time. Stu, you remember his first time running the mile, right? He takes off like a bat out of hell. He hits the second corner on the first lap. It takes a header into the infield. He's done. Done. Oh my God.
Well, Rooks had asthma, and so that made it tougher for him anyway. But Yammer, you get the feeling. I mean, it was ridiculously hard. And when you're a young freshman like that, I mean, you're just getting abused every day by those guys. And we started thinking about it. You kind of thought, KO, that you didn't know this, KO, but we were talking, I wonder if they're going to red shirts. And sure enough.
What you didn't know is we had discussed that in the spring and decided all of you were redshirting.
That's right. We were redshirting the day we got on campus.
No, you were redshirting the day you signed.
The day I signed, right.
You just didn't know it.
There. So we practiced for about 3 weeks. And I remember you had me, Rooks, and Georgeson in. And remember, Rooks was a 14-year NBA player, and Georgeson ended up being pretty good.
He's a very good player. Mark was a very good player.
Very good. But we were just getting everything handed to us. And you brought us in, and you said, I remember you sat us down. You were in a trailer.
Yeah.
Back then, the basketball office, you were redoing the basketball office, and you had a trailer out there.
I was in a trailer for a whole year.
Well, it was your own personal trailer?
I was the only person in there.
Is that because no one wanted to share with you? Is that?
No, the office I had was this big workroom, and it was being completely redone. And it took the construction company. It was supposed to be like a month. Somehow they got in some squabble, so I was in this trailer for a whole year, right outside the arena.
So you bring these three guys in, and Matt.
Yeah.
So what?
In,
yeah.
And you got. I remember you guys. The coaches, Yammer, they always wore those sweatsuits, right? So KO had on his blue Arizona sweatsuit. You had big glasses back then, KO. You actually had some hair. You had a lot of hair back then.
Yeah.
The curly hair.
Yep.
And you were, like always, didn't take a long time for you to tell us what was on your mind. We were in there like
there was no use sugarcoating it.
No sugarcoat. You said, guys, you're redshirting this year. and Rooks and Jordan, like, they looked over like, okay. And that was common back then. Like, everybody, there was 80% of the guys, 70% of the guys did redshirt.
Especially on a good team. Especially on a really good team.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'd been thinking about this for days, and you didn't know this, but I was kind of wondering if this would happen. And so you tell us, hey, you're redshirting it, and I looked over. They kind of nodded their head like, okay. And I looked right back at you, and I said, I'm not redshirting. and you said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm not redshirting. And my reasoning for that was, number one, I knew our team was really good, and I wanted to be playing, at least even albeit in a mop-up role. But number two, I kind of felt like, look, next year I got a chance to play. And I wanted to be somehow, like I said, even if it was garbage time, I wanted to be in the game. I wanted to have experience, my toe in the water that year and be able to play. And I just said I wasn't redshirt. Remember that, KO?
I do remember it.
And you looked at me like you were about to charge me.
I was about to charge you.
So what's going through your mind when – well, actually, let's back up for a second.
Listen, I said this when we first started doing this show, this dude was too smart. Matt is very intelligent. I'm sure while we were talking about redshirting him, in his mind, I guarantee he's saying, wait till these guys come and tell me to redshirt. I'm not doing it. Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But you had said that he was redshirting the moment he signed.
Yeah.
So
they all were. Because they couldn't beat these guys out.
And the best part about this is you go back a couple podcasts and you're telling him, hey, you're starting.
Oh, yeah.
You're starting.
Hey, that's the recruiting process.
That's just what it is.
Right.
So you knew Matt gets on campus, he's going to be a redshirt, and you just know, hey, gonna have to break the news to him. You bring him to your trailer.
Yeah, and you give it a couple weeks to make it seem like you're evaluating him and all that. We're not evaluating. We already had him evaluated. I mean, these guys we had 4th and 5th year seniors and juniors. I mean, they didn't have a chance against these guys. I mean, think about the NBA players. Tom Talbert was in practice.
Oh, yeah.
Sean Rooks was a pro.
Yeah.
Brian Williams was sitting out, transfer from Maryland, who was more athletic than anybody. Kenny Lofton, Sean Elliott, Anthony Cook, Judd Bushler, and Steve Kerr. We had 8 NBA players and Kenny Lofton. And now we got 3 freshmen that are competing with these guys every day.
Good luck, go get them. So you ever have
exactly, Yammer, go get it. I would say in high school I was in the 97th, 98th percentile athletically. The first month of U of A basketball, I was like at 17%, if that.
Well, I mean, look at the guys that were there.
Yeah.
Different team, different campus, and maybe that's not the case. But on that,
if Matt and Sean Rooks and Mark Georgeson would have gone to a middle of the road Pac-12 team, they could have all started. They would have all played, but they could have all started.
You ever have a player besides Matt say no, not going to redshirt?
Nope.
So he says that to you. What goes through your mind?
I'm going to kill him. I'm thinking this little punk is telling me he's not going to redshirt when I've taken the orders directly from the Lord himself, Lute Olson, and passed them on to him.
So what do you say?
But I knew he wasn't going to.
What do you mean you knew?
I knew he wasn't going to. Matt is a guy that speaks his mind, and he thinks things through. I don't think things through when I say stuff. I just don't.
That's abundantly clear. So once he says no, your response is,
yes, you are.
Matt says,
and he says, no, I'm not.
Then you say, yes, you are again. And this goes back and forth for a
couple minutes. And at this point, what I'm worried, I want the conversation to end because I'm thinking these other 2 stooges are going to start agreeing with him.
Yeah.
And now I got to go back and tell Lute, none of these guys is going to redshirt.
So how does it end, that conversation?
I don't remember, Stu.
I don't remember. I think you just sort of said, okay, and you went back to coach.
Yep.
I don't remember talking about it again.
No, we didn't talk about it again.
That was it.
I knew you weren't doing it.
I think you guys probably said, hey, whatever. Hey, let's get him out of here in 4 years. We'll have a chance to get somebody else in.
No, actually, we said, you know what? We'll just get him out of here at the end of the year. We'll have his scholarship.
Yeah, Yammer, that was back when a scholarship was only 1 year.
Yeah. And there's no APR. There's no APR, so there was no
have to worry about the
penalty.
Now.
No.
Yeah. It's.
You know when you took it out on me, KO. So
every day.
I'd say Yammer about 2 weeks after that. Kevin calls me back into that trailer. And it was a trailer right outside.
Okay, and the trailer, like in the morning in the wintertime is freezing.
Yeah.
By afternoon, it's like you're
sauna.
It's like you're in a sweat box.
Yeah.
So he brings me out there, and he says, "I got to talk to you." He sits me down. I didn't know what he's going to say. I kind of thought it was maybe a follow-up to the red shirt question. And now it's just me and KO. We're just sitting there. And you probably were sweating at this time because it was late afternoon.
Oh, it was hot.
Practice.
It was hot.
And you looked at me and you said, "Look, you're not progressing as we thought you were." And I actually thought the next thing you might say is, you've got to, I don't know, go to the volleyball team or something. And you look at me and you said, "I am going to be in your stuff every play, every practice, every drill from here to the end of the season because you have to play next year." And that was that moment. I never forget that because that was almost like, Jim, have you seen Officer and a Gentleman?
No, I have not. Sorry, I'm killing your analogy here.
Everybody else in the world has seen it except Yam, so everybody will know.
Everyone will understand it.
Well, in that moment, Kevin O'Neill was Louis Gossett Jr. and I was Mayo. Right, KO?
That's what it was. Yep.
And you did. I mean, from that moment for the rest of that year, and there were, and we'll talk about them. There were some things you did. I mean, it was like every day we almost got in a fight after practice.
Yep, that's true.
It's sort of like.
But I knew he had to start next year.
So
we were losing all these guys.
Yeah. So you had no choice.
We had to accelerate his progress.
So to make sure that you were on him is
because
what the strategy was.
If it gets to next year,
yep, and he's not ready,
it's
a problem.
The only guy that's getting blamed is me because I recruited him. So I'm like, okay, I got to do something here.
If you're going down, you're going down.
Oh yeah, I'm like, I got to do something here.
You are swinging. Well, I can't wait to hear some of the classic KO moments with you, Matt, as he was trying to.
They were classic on his part, too.
Encourage you to be the best player that you can be. But, Matt, appreciate you, as always, stopping by with us here on the podcast and reliving some of these great moments of your recruitment.
Hey, guys, thanks. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, Matt Muehlbach. Once again, the recruitment of Matt as it continues to go on and unfold here on the Pac-12 Networks Basketball Podcast. KO, typically at the end of these shows, we've been asking people to rate us and review us on iTunes. We got another one that came in, CJC_55. Do you want to? Last time you had a comment to make about the handle. Nothing, no issues here.
No.
Okay, this one's okay. Gave you 5 stars.
Wow.
Kevin O'Neill is a riot. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of what. Sort of your demeanor. I can't believe I was in the dark about Kevin O'Neill. This guy is a gem. He's 100% authentic, and his unfiltered delivery is unlike any at the Pac-12 networks. I would agree with that assessment as well. Together with host Mike Yam, the two talk all things hoops without being suffocated by the X's and O's of the game. Instead, storytelling is the name of the game, in particular the recruitment segment with the unfolding story of how KO recruited Matt Muehlbach to Arizona back in 1987 is amazing. Both Matt and KO tell the same portion of the story independently, and both parts are mashed together. Just listen, you will love it. Well,
that's nice.
CJ, yeah.
That's very nice.
It is very nice. So
good to know people are listening.
Roberta, your wife did not. This is not her, right?
No.
Okay. No. Has she started? I forgot to ask Matt that.
She hasn't heard any of them.
I thought we were supposed to get her on.
Yeah, she couldn't come up today.
That was supposed to be.
We need to get her on.
Need to get her on.
Even if we do it by phone.
I think we do the phoner, and we go from there. But quick thanks to obviously Mackenzie and Candace, who continue to hold it down for us. Continue to rate us on. You're right there?
I'm all right.
You're all right? How are you feeling? We just did.
I know you're not supposed to cough on air, but I couldn't.
There is,
it's all right.
People who are watching us right now, there's like, you see this button right here?
Which one?
The mic one. You click that. That mutes
that's
your,
a cough. That's a cough.
Basically
okay.
your cough button, just for future reference,
Thanks.
just in case
Glad I know that.
any of our listeners who are like, KO just coughed in my ear. You can avoid that by just clicking that button. Very simple. But continue to rate us on iTunes. You can find us, obviously, on pac-12.com, and you can follow us on Twitter at Pac-12 Networks. Yes, it is plural, at Mike_Yam. And Coach O'Neill, your handle once again?
Come on, man.
Yeah, just not going to happen.
Nope.
Candace McKenzie, always a fantastic job. Thanks for downloading us, and we will catch you next week on a brand new edition of the Pac-12 Networks Basketball Podcast.